Open your book to page 316. This is lesson 11.5. This lesson is to factor a trinomial with the leading coefficient that is greater than 1. But before we get into factoring, let's go and review a little bit on the FOIL method, because factoring is a reverse of the FOIL method. So let's say if you have an x plus 2 times 3x plus 4. So when you multiply, you distribute, right? So this will give you 3x squared. So this is the first term, so that's the f, right? The first terms, and you multiply, so this will be plus 4x, and this is the o, and you multiply, o means the outer terms, and you multiply, this will be plus 6x, so this is the inner term, and you multiply, this is plus 8, and this is the last term, so the FOIL method, right? Now, after that, if you notice that you have to combine the like terms, right? So you combine these two, you're going to get 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. Okay. So that's how you multiply. So if you notice that this came from the O and the I, notice the O and the I, that's where this came from, you're adding. Okay. So now when you're ready to do the factoring, you have to go backward. So to go backward, you have to do something called the master product. So just like what you did before, okay, you do the cross, okay, and so the number you need to do is you need to go and this came from adding the number, so you're going to get 10. The 10 came from the 4 plus the 6. Okay, see the middle, 4 plus 6 give you 10. Now the master product, you have to multiply this together, so it'd be 3 times 8, so you have to use 24. Okay? So you can use 10 from adding these two, and use 24 by multiply these two. Okay? Because this came from multiplying, right? So now again, you just go through the process. So you go 1 comma 24, 2 comma 12, 3 comma 8, 4 comma 5, 4 comma 6. Okay, and that's it, right? Because 4 times 6 give you 24, 4 plus 6 give you 10. So that's your correct combination. But now you have to figure out which of this is O, because remember the 10 came from O and I, but you don't know which is O and which is I. So this is what you're going to do. You get two sets of parentheses, right? So first you have to undo the F. Okay, so let's undo the F. So the F this came from multiply over two terms, right? So let's go and put a lower one over here. So start with the lowest and put the highest over here. So you start with the lowest and the highest. So x times 3x give you 3x squared, right? So you undo the f, right? So now you have to do the O and the I. So what you want to do is you want to do the I first, do the inside first. Okay, always do the higher number first. So you have to think, okay, 3 times blank equal to 4. So it's impossible. So you know that this is not going to be the inside. That means this has to be the inside, right? Okay. So 3 times blank it will give you 6. So answer is plus 2, right? 3 times 2 give you 6. So that's your I, that's your inside term. Again, this is O and I from here, O and I, but you don't know which is which because you're going backward, right? So that's the I, so that means this will be the O, right? So we can mark your inside and outside. So I is 6, right? 3 times 2 give you 6. And you have to do the O, the outside term is 4, right? So it'll be 1 times 4, right? So again, that's I, 2 times 3 is 6, 1 times 4 is 4. And you can check, right? See, that's correct, okay? So let's go and do a few examples. So let's go to example 1. You have 2x squared plus 7x plus 5. But again, every problem makes you go through the checklist, right? So you do step 1, common factor. Cannot factor the number, cannot factor the variable, right? There's no x, so no variable. So step 2, special factor, 3 terms, you check for perfect square. This is not a perfect square, not a perfect square. So you go to step 3, cube. But in pre-algebra, we're not doing the cube yet. So you can forget about these. Okay? So you go to step 4, master product, right? So master product, so this 7, right? But remember, master product with a number in front, you have to multiply, right? Before we didn't do it because before when there's no number, 1 times 5 is just 5. That's why we don't bother to multiply, because it's 1. But now, there's a number in front, so you have to multiply. So you're going to get 10, okay? Okay, so again, this came from the O and the I, this came from the F and L, okay? So again, multiply. So remember to multiply these two numbers to use these. Okay, so again, you start with 1 comma 10, 2, comma 5, and that's it, right? So let's get two set of parentheses. Again, first you have to undo the F, right? So again, you always start with the lowest and the highest, right? So that's how you undo the first. So now we have to figure out the O and the I, right? So you can check, okay, this one, can this, yes. So this is the I, right? This is the inside. So 2 times 1, right? 2 times 1, that's your inside, right? And if this is the inside, this might be the outside, right? So outside, so 1 times plus 5, right? So again, 1 times 2, that's the inside to get 2, right? 1 times 2 give you 2, that's the inside. And the outside, 1 times 5 give you 5, that's the outside. So again, write it down, it helps you to work it through. And so that's your answer for example 1. Okay, let's go to example 2. Example 2, you have 5x squared plus 13x plus 6. Okay, so again, go through the steps. Step 1, common factor, cannot. Step 2, perfect square. These are not perfect square. So go to step 3, cube. This is not a cube. So you go to step 4, master product. So master product, the 13 goes over here. And again, remember this number came from these, right? You have to multiply these, right? So it'd be 30. Okay, so make sure you use 30 for this problem over here. So now you go through the list of 1, comma 30, 2, comma 15, 3, comma 10, and that's it, right? 3 plus 10 give you 13, 3 times 10 give you 30. So keep track, make sure everything has to match. Okay, so get two sets of parentheses. So you have to undo the F, so you can start with the lowest and the highest, right? X times 5x give you 5x squared. So now you have to figure out the inside. So can this be the inside? No, right? 5 times something will not give you the 3. So this cannot be the inside. So that means this must be the inside, and this must be the outside. So the inside is equal to 10. That means you need to get plus 2, right? 5 times 2 give you 10. Okay? So now let's do the outside. The outside. So again, this is the inside. This is the outside. So outside, this is the 3. So you need to get plus 3, right? So again, inside 2 times 5 give you 10. Outside 1 times 3 give you 3. And that's your answer. So this is the master product. Okay? So let's go to example 3. So example 3. You have 6x squared minus 19x plus 15. So you can go through the list, okay, of the steps. So step 1, common factor, cannot. Step 2, special factor, cannot. These are not perfect square. Step 3, cube, no, not a cube. So step 4, master product. So again, this would be negative 19, and this would give you 90. Okay. Now you have to keep track of your signs, right? So over here, you have to use negative 1, comma, negative 90. Right? Because in order to get negative over here, you have to use negative, and you have to use both negative to match. Negative times negative give you positive. So make sure you keep track of the signs. All the signs need to match. Okay, then you go to negative 2, negative 45, negative 3, negative 30, okay, negative 4 cannot, negative 5, negative 18, okay, negative 6. Now, the reason you want to list this so you don't miss anything, so that way you can know if it's not factorable. Okay? And also the reason you do the listing is so that when you get to 6, right? Notice this is twice as much as that, so this will be half of that. So that you can do it mentally very quick. Right? So again, this is twice as much, so this will be half of that. Okay? Then you go to 7, then you go to 9, negative 10, and this is it, right? Negative 9 times negative 10 give you positive 90. Negative 9 plus negative 10 give you negative 19. So you can just go down the list. It's very quick. Okay, so now let's go and do this. So you're going to get x and 6x, right? You always start with the lowest and the highest. So again, you have to ask yourself, okay, which one would be the inside? 6 times blank equal to 9? No, cannot, right? 6 times blank equal to negative 10, so cannot. So this is not good. None of this is going to match. Okay, so in this case, you go to the next possibility. So you go to 2x and 3x. Okay, so you start with the lowest and highest, and you keep going up just like this over here. So now let's go and try it again. Okay, so 3 times something equal to negative 9. Yeah, so you know that this is the inside, right? And this is the outside. Okay, so this would be minus 3. 3 times negative 3 give you negative 9. Okay, that's the inside. Now you do the outside. Outside has to be equal to negative 10, so it would be minus 5. Right? 2 times negative 5 give you negative 10. So again, that's the inside, that's the outside. Okay? And that's it. But you start with the lowest and highest. If it does not, none of it is going to match. Right? None of this is multiple of 6. So you go to the next possibility. Okay? And you keep going until you exhaust all the possibilities, and then it will be not factorable. Okay, let's go to example 4. You have 12a squared plus 7ab minus 10b squared. So first, you need to go ahead and arrange this in correct order. So a squared, think of it like in a dictionary. A squared is like AA, then AB, and this is BB. So this is correct order, right? So you go to steps. Step 1, common factor, cannot. Step 2, special factor, cannot, because this is not a square. Step 3, cube. This is not a cube. So step 4, master product. So again, you're going to get 7. And this over here, remember, you have to multiply. That's why it's called master product. You have to multiply these, right? And keep track of your signs, right? So negative 120. Okay, so let's go and do this. So 1 comma negative 120, 2 comma negative 60, 3 comma negative 40, okay, 4 comma negative 30, 5 comma negative 24, 6 negative 20, 7 cannot 8. So when you get to 8, right, notice again, look over here. This is twice as this. So when this is twice as that, this would be half of that. So minus 15. Now when you get to here, right, if you notice that when you add, this will give you negative 7. So the number is correct, the sign is wrong. So you need to do 15 and negative 8. So again, this will give you the clue. Okay? So 15 negative 8. 15 times negative 8 give you negative 120. 15 plus negative 8 give you 7. So that's the correct combination. So circle that. Okay. So again, let's go and start with let's go and undo the first term, the f, right? So again, start with a and 12a. Now, so you can check. Is any one of these multiple of 12? No, right? So this is no good, because 12 times something is not going to match any one of these. So you go to the next one. So you go to the next higher one. So 2a and 6a. Okay, so now you check. Okay, again, you always do the inside first, the high number. So is any one of these multiple of 6? Can 6 times something equal to 15? No. Can 6 times something equal to negative 8? No, right? So what you do is cross it out, you go to the next one. So it'll be 3a and 4a, right? So again, first you have to take care of the first term. So undo the f first. So this one, now you can see that this is the inside, right? This has to be the inside. So this is the inside. So this will be minus 2, right? Now, there is a variable in the back, so you need to put a variable in the back, right? So multiply, again, negative 2 times 4 give you negative 8. That's your inside. And this is the outside, so it will be plus 5b. So everything has to match. The sign, the variable, everything has to match. Okay? So again, over here, you start with the lowest and the highest. If none of them match, you go to the next higher one. If none match, you go to the next higher one until you run out. Okay? And if you run out all the options and still nothing works, then it's not factorable. Okay? And so this is your answer for example 4. Okay, let's go to example 5. Okay, example 5, you got 5x plus 2x squared plus 3. So again, first you have to do is put this in the correct order. Okay? So you need to make into 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So again, go through the steps. Step 1, common factor, cannot. Step 2, special factor, cannot. These are not perfect squares. Step 3, cube, cannot. So you go to step 4, master product. So you need to get 5 and then 6. Okay? And then go ahead and start with 1 comma 6, no good. 2 comma 3, and this is it. Okay? So go and break it down. So you got x and 2x, right? Again, you always start with the lowest and the highest. So now you can look over here, okay? Which is inside? Well, this is the inside, right? 2 times something will equal to 2. So this is the inside, this is the outside. So you need to get plus 1. Okay? 2 times 1 is equal to 2, right? That's the inside. Again, that's inside. And this is the outside. So again, inside, outside. So inside is 2, outside is 3. So you need to get plus 3. Okay, so again, 1 times 3 give you 3. That's the outside. Okay, so that's example 5. Okay, let's go to example 6. You got 3m squared minus 2m minus 8. Okay, so first check, make sure it's correct order. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, then next, go and check step 1, common factor, cannot. Step 2, special factor, again, these are not squares. So step 3, cube, no cube. So you go to step 4, master product. So master product, you can keep track of your sign. Okay, you have to use negative, and the product would be negative 24. Okay, so again, that's your master product, right? So again, to find the correct combination, you start with 1 comma negative 24, 2 comma negative 12, 3 comma negative 8, 4 comma negative 6, and that's it, right? 4 times negative 6 give you negative 24. 4 plus negative 6 give you negative 2. So that's the correct combination. So let's get 2 sets of parentheses. So again, first you have to undo the first term, undo the f, right? So do the m and the 3m. Right? Again, you always start with the lowest and the highest. And you can check, okay, does any one of these multiple of 3? Yes, right, this one, right? So that's how you know this is the inside. So you got to get minus 2, right? 3 times negative 2, that's your inside. 3 times negative 2 give you negative 6. And so therefore this is the outside. So outside you need to get plus 4, right? 1 times 4 will give you 4. If there's a variable in the front, you're going to get variable in the front, okay? And if there's a variable in the back, then you just put variable in the back, and that's it. Okay, let's go to example 7. Example 7, you have 12a squared plus 7ab minus 10b squared. Okay, so you can step 1. Well, first make sure that you're in correct order, and yes, they are correct order. Then first check your common factor, right? Step 1, common factor. You cannot do any of the number, and you cannot do variable because there's no b, so you cannot do b. There's no a, so you cannot do a, so cannot do the variables. So you go to step 2. Step 2 is the special factors. You're checking for, if it's 3 terms, you check for perfect squares, right? So this is not a perfect square, so that's not it. So you go to step 3, cube. There's no cube, right? So you go to master product. So it'd be 7, and this would be minus 120. Right? Again, remember master product, you have to multiply these 2 numbers to get the master product. So you start with 1 comma negative 120, 2 comma negative 60. Again, it's faster if you just go down the list. Okay, so you go 3 negative 40, 4 negative 30, 5 comma negative 24. When you get to 6, right, use the 3 to help you to get the answer. So this is twice as a 3, so this would be half of that to compensate. So it would be negative 20. Okay, 7 cannot. So 8, again, come over here, look at the 4. 8 is twice as a 4, so this would be half of that. So it would be minus 15. And when you get over here, again, if you look, right, this will give you negative 7. So negative 7 by its positive 7, so you just switch the 2, right? So you can get 15 and negative 8. So this is example 4. We already did this in example 4. But we're just going to do that again. So again, you start with A, 12A. So none of this match, so cross it out. So you got 2A and 6A. Again, none of this is multiple of 6, right? So cross it out. So you got 3A and 4A, right? So now this match, right? So this would be the inside, so it would be minus 2. Now because there's a variable in the back, so you need to have a variable in the back. And so this is the outside, right? So again, inside. Negative 2 times 4 give you negative 8. And outside, you need to get plus 5. Now, because there's a variable in the back, so you need to have a variable in the back. And that's it for example 7.